Hey smart people, Toby Salami here. I'll quickly show you in this video how you can show a different number of items on mobile versus the number of items you show on desktop. Let me show you a quick example. Right here, you have three listing grid items showing on desktop, but we want to make sure that 6 of these items show on mobile instead. So if a person is on a mobile phone, we want to see 6 items. Let me just refresh this other page, which I used to, demonstrate this. And I can refresh and you can see that there are 6 items on mobile. Come back to desktop, let's refresh, and there are 3 items on desktop. It's the same listing grid. It's the same query. We're not making use of any CSS tricks here, but pure dynamic visibility magic. If you're new here, my name is Toby Salami, and on this channel, I release dynamic WordPress development videos and make them as simple as possible. If that sounds good to you, be sure to subscribe and turn on that notification bell. So let's very quickly get into ensuring that we can have a different number of items shown on desktop versus mobile. Okay, just come into the JetEngine dashboard, and inside of here, you want to come to Shortcode Generator. And why are we here? Because we're trying to make sure that the listing of these posts only show a specified number of items, different for mobile and different for desktop. So let's come back inside of here, and we want to generate a shortcode. Before we do that, you want to ensure that you come inside of your modules and select dynamic visibility. And why is that? Because if you have this toggled on and you click on save, let me show you what happens. Come into the shortcode generator. When you enter into here, let's just refresh and watch for this. You see the first item is gone, the one that said shortcode. Let's come back inside of here, come inside of modules and toggle on dynamic visibility again, click on save, and we can come back to shortcode generator and let's refresh. And you would notice that this is back here. And what this basically does is add an extra option. It adds the JetEngine condition option right here. And I don't know about you, but many people have reached out to me asking, how do I make use of this? And here is an excellent example. Instead of using the tag enclosing type of self-enclosing, which it is by default, you're going to use the enclosing type instead. And why is that? Because the self-enclosing one is only going to return true or false depending on what the condition you select here is. But the enclosing type would give you basically a block of 2 shortcodes, as you can see, and some content in between that. That content can be changed depending on what the condition here is. It either shows or hides that content depending on what this condition is. So let me give you a quick example and apply that to our situation here. So we want to show, let's say, 3 items on desktop and maybe 6 items on mobile. So let's just do that. What we can do is come inside of the condition right here, and down here we can select is mobile device. And of course, the visibility condition type here is show. So in other words, we're saying that the shortcode should print whatever is inside of the content here. If this is a mobile device, it should show it if it is a mobile device. So we have a shortcode here that works for mobile. We can copy that. Let's just put that inside here, inside of the URL bar here. And we want to change the content of that part. Let's just remove that and replace it with a number that will then represent the number of items we want on mobile. In this case, let's say we want 6 items on mobile. So we're just going to put the figure there as 6. Let's copy that shortcode, and we want to come inside of Query Builder. You can access Query Builder from here, of course. Now, inside of Query Builder, just simply add a new query. We can call the query whatever we want to call it. Inside of query type, we want to select post query. Come down here to the post type of post. You can select published if you so desire, because that's all of them here are published. And you can come inside, maybe let's just toggle on preview results so we can see what we have. We have 8 results here, which exactly matches all of the 8 items inside of here. That's good. Now remember, our task here is to show only 6 items on mobile, but 3 items on desktop. We'll come here inside of pagination, come to posts per page, and here normally we can type the value 6 or type the value 3, and this is where people get the thing wrong or maybe just get confused because they're trying maybe to create 2 queries one for mobile, one for desktop. It just gets messy. So here you can do something pretty simple. You can come inside of here to the dynamic data settings, and you want to select the shortcode result item. Inside of here, you want to paste that shortcode which you just created. Now remember, the shortcode block here can take as many items as possible. So you want to make use of how many shortcodes you need. Now we're going to do something called, I think in statistics we call it mutually exclusive events. And simply what that means is that whenever you have two things that have opposing conditions, only one of them at a time is going to be true. And how do we apply that here? Come back inside of JetEngine. And here, instead of saying show, we want to change that to hide. Now we know for sure that this second shortcode we're about to copy and paste is only going to print if the other shortcode is not going to print anything, or it's going to not print if the other shortcode is going to print something. So we're safe. We can basically put both of these shortcodes together and be absolutely sure that only one of them will print anything at all at every single time. And that's good for us. And basically what we're saying is that we want to hide whatever is inside of here if we're on a mobile device. And if you think about that, that simply means that we want to show it if we're on anything but a mobile device, which means it's going to show on a desktop. That makes sense? Good. So let's go ahead now to adjust the content of that shortcode. We want to put it inside the address bar again. And this time we want to change it to the value of 3. So we're just going to paste 3 inside of there. We want to copy the entire shortcode, come inside of Query Builder, and we just want to paste that right next to the other shortcode, just like that. Now, because we know that they're mutually exclusive, in other words, one of this shortcode will print anything at all at every single opportunity, and neither of them are going to print at the same time as the other. So we're never going to have 63 print inside of here or have nothing print inside of here. We're going to have something at every single opportunity, every single load. Okay, that's clear. Great. We can go ahead. We can just click on apply, click on update query. Now we can come inside of listings and components, and we want to create a simple listing of posts. I already have a listing created here, so we don't waste too much time. We can come to edit listing and we can change the query builder query to what makes sense. In this case, it's query of posts. And that, of course, is the same query that we created here. And that makes sense. We're done with that. That's a simple listing. Let's just edit to see what's inside of there. We're also going to come to the home page here, and we want to paste that listing inside of here and show it in the front end. Let's come inside of that listing. It's a simple listing, just a div inside of there and a heading. Something like that is totally fine. Something that's just going to print the post title. If you're an Elementor, you know how to do this. It's the same thing. Create a listing with Elementor. I'm using Bricks Builder for the sake of this demonstration, but the effect is exactly the same. Now, once we're done with that, we're just going to come inside of the edit homepage here. Inside of this block, this div, we want to add the JetEngine listing. I'm using Bricks Builder for the sake of this demonstration, but of course, if you're using Elementor, the principle is exactly the same. All you need to do, create a listing, come inside the page where you want to drop the listing and place that listing inside of there. Okay. Now we have the listing here on the page. All we need to do is select the listing we created, listing of posts, exactly this. That's okay. And maybe give it an equal columns height so that everything looks nice and clean. That has absolutely nothing to do with our tutorial, but of course, I mean, I'm a perfectionist. I can't help it. Anyways, once we're done with that, we're pretty much done. But think about this. How many items do you currently see on the page? There are 3. Remember that we specified inside of our query that we need 3 items on desktop and 6 items on mobile. Okay, this appears to already be working. Let's click on save. Let's come to the front end. We could just close things out. Things are nice and tidy. We can refresh here and we have 3 items showing on desktop. That makes absolute sense. Now, how do we mimic a mobile device in order to load it on mobile? We can just right click. And when we right click, we come to inspect. And inside of the inspector, we want to click here on this toggle device toolbar icon. When we click on that, we're on mobile. First of all, let me just make sure that on mobile that, it shows as a single column so that things are nice and tidy here too. That's okay. Now let's come back again to the front end. Let's just refresh so things are okay. All right, let's click on that device toolbar. That makes sense. Now we have 3 items still showing on mobile. Why not 6? Why do we still have 3 items showing on mobile? And why is it that until we refresh this page, we now have 6 items showing on mobile? Because keep in mind that the dynamic visibility condition is making use of PHP. And PHP, the underlying programming language, is responsible for what prints on the page at the time of loading the page. It's not like CSS that, when you go into responsive settings, maybe style, and come inside of the responsive settings, you can say, okay, I don't want this to show on mobile, or maybe I want to change something here on mobile. On the mobile device, you can adjust something that's different. PHP is different because PHP is determining what shows on the page at the time of the server sending out that entire page. So what that means is that you would need to refresh in order to see the number of items on mobile, or refresh in order to see the number of items on desktop. And once the page is already loaded, if you maybe toggle this back on to maybe show how it's going to be on desktop, you're just going to see the exact same number of items that should have shown on the other device. But in the real world, think about it. People load their stuff on their mobiles or on their desktop, and they don't have the luxury of switching between whether it's desktop or it's mobile, just like we did. Okay. But the effect is very, very useful, because think about it. You can use this in situations where, let's say you want a slider to appear on mobile, but you want maybe a simple listing grid to appear on desktop. Can you think about how this solves the situation? If you can think about it and you can think of how this is applied directly to that, just let me know in the comment section below and I'll let you know if you got that right. Anyways, this was just a simple demonstration to show you how you can show a different number of items on mobile versus the number of items you can show on desktop. Is the CSS way to do this? That is the way of using responsive settings to show or hide things. Is that the best way to do this? Not necessarily. I would say it's not the best way because, of course, you would be loading things inside of the DOM. I'll show you that quickly. Let's come here and I want to simply inspect. In other words, I just want to show you the number of items that print in the DOM. Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see that? You print 6 items in the DOM. Now, even if you are able to use CSS to say display none for one of these items, right? Or even a number of these items. Let's say you select a number of these items and say display none for most of them. These things still load inside of the DOM. In other words, the browser still has to process it, right? But imagine that you put this on mobile and then you reload. Let's reload and just take a look at how many items print. It's 6, okay? Let's come back to desktop. Remember that it's supposed to be 3 items on desktop, but 6 items on mobile. Let's just refresh. Let's come back to desktop and let's refresh this. See how many items show here. Just watch for it. We're going to come back here. 1, 2, 3. So the items that are being loaded by PHP, by virtue of the fact that we're using dynamic visibility, will effectively reduce, which means that if you don't want many items to load on desktop or you don't want many items to load on mobile, you're going to physically take off those things from the DOM. And that's good practice. Using CSS, we'll just keep those things in the DOM. They're still going to load anyway, but they're not going to show. So if you're concerned about page speed, well, you know what it is. You're going to have a slow loading page anyways. Okay, dear people, I hope this has helped you in any way possible. If it has, let me know in the comment section below. If it hasn't, also let me know in the comment section below. My name is Toby Salami, and until next time, my dear people, stay dynamic.